So here we are in the kitchen, and we're going to talk today again about party winter soups and stews. Today I'm going to make a fantastic winter stew that will also be accompanied by a delicious, easy beer bread. First we'll start with the beer bread so we can put that in the oven while we're working on our stew. This is the easiest recipe of all. You start with 2 cups of self-rising flour. If you don't have self-rising flour or wish to make up your own, you can use regular flour mixed with a tablespoon of baking powder. So sometimes I mix mine up ahead and just keep that ready to go because it's really hard to find a good source for organic self-rising flour. So this self-rising flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, there's 2 cups of self-rising flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 bottle of beer. Any kind of beer will do. And the beer mixing with the self-rising flour, which would be the baking powder and beer action, is what acts as the rising agent in this very easy bread. So that's it. Just 3 ingredients: beer, sugar, flour. Stir that up good and you'll see it's like a kind of a thickish batter. So this is what you would call a batter bread. Now I'm going to bake mine in these little loaf pans here, but you can bake it in like a cast iron skillet or a regular loaf pan, whatever shape or form you'd like. I've even done it in muffin tins. So oil your muffin tin, or you can use that spray oil, which I never use that stuff because I don't really like breathing in those oil fumes too much, but I know a lot of people do. So pour it in your pan. One recipe will make plenty for an average family of 4, I would say. So we're going to make up a couple of loaves here. And then bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for, in these tiny loaf pans, probably about 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in the oven right now, and they should be ready by the time we get our stew done. So, the key to a delicious soup or stew, I find, is to first saute your vegetables in a little bit of oil. Oil then acts as like a carrier for the flavors and makes it nicely blend throughout the soup. So, I always start by dicing my vegetables or anything I'm going to put in there and first sauteing it in a little bit of oil. So for this soup, we were going to use onions, all delicious locally grown vegetables, any that I could find. So we start with a little bit of oil. This is olive oil, which is the pretty much only oil I use in the kitchen. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons in there. Freshly chopped onions. You can tell I've got my pan heated up here. We're going to put an apple in here, and the apple acts as a nice thickener for our stew and also give it a little bit of a sweet flavor. So I'm going to dice that up in there. Sizzling at me now, I'm sure you can hear it. There we go. Oops, dropped that one. So, and then we've got some beautiful red peppers. But you could also put any other vegetables that you like or that you have available out of your garden. Peppers, celery, onions, these are always a nice base for any soup. Now I'm also going to put a potato. I have already washed this potato ahead of time, just so you know. I'm dicing it, and the potato too will act as a binder, and then we won't have to use any kind of flour or other thickening agent because the apple and potato will just make our stew thicken up. So there we go, potatoes. Now here I have some beautiful fresh celery that I actually grew in my garden. I was so happy. This is just the celery leaves. I'm going to dice them up. We'll put those in a little later after we get the broth. So meanwhile, I've got my vegetables simmering there. Other tasty additions to this might be a little pumpkin. I happen to have this pumpkin that someone maybe dropped on my front porch. Okay, that wasn't very easy. Pumpkins can be a little intimidating, but they're very nutritious and a delicious addition to any winter soup or stew. So we just use a smaller piece of pumpkin. You can also use carrots, of course, turnips, rutabagas. So dice that. Remember to always keep your fingers slightly bent so you won't accidentally cut them with your knife. Now sometimes it's easier if you pre-cook your pumpkin a little bit to peel it. But this one has not been pre-cooked at all. It's just raw pumpkin. So I'm just going to saute it in there with the other vegetables. And then it'll give it a nice texture and add a lot of nutritious vitamin A. So, grab my spoon. Got my vegetables simmering in there, and you want to just saute them until, can you all see that out there? I don't have a glass pan. You saute these until your onions are just starting to get clear. You don't want them to actually brown or scorch on the bottom. So just saute them a little, mix the flavors in with the oil. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in my soup. Garlic's good in everything, and it's a fantastic immune system builder, which everyone needs this time of year. Flu season coming on and all. So, what I do for chopping my garlic is I just squeeze the cloves like that, and then they peel really easily. And October is the time of year to plant your garlic harvest for next year. So get out there and get your bed ready if you haven't already. Buy a couple bulbs of garlic and plant your own fresh garlic for next year. So I'm going to put 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. I really like garlic a lot. Sometimes I'll even peel several bulbs of garlic and then crush that garlic up and store it in a little jar of olive oil in my refrigerator or even in the deep freeze. And then I can just pinch off a little piece when I need it. This keeps the garlic from drying out, which it sometimes does. It makes it easier to use a lot of it. Another handy tool you might want to get, which of course you probably already have if you love garlic, is a garlic press. And that presses it. You got our garlic in there. Once your vegetables have sauteed, almost done, I had some delicious leftover tomato juice from my tomato processing. We chopped up cases and cases of tomatoes and roasted them in the oven. But before I roasted them, I drained a lot of the juice off, and that's what I have here. So that's what I'm going to use for my stock, my soup. Pour that in there. And then for seasoning, I've mixed up a little bit of black pepper, thyme, paprika, and a little salt-free blend, which is like Mrs. Dash, but it's a blend of other spices, and I like to use it as just a general all-purpose seasoning. But you can mix up any of your own favorite flavors. Caraway is very nice, cumin is nice, fresh rosemary, any of those are good. So you sprinkle that about 2 tablespoons of spice in there. And then I've got my chopped up parsley. I didn't saute that because I didn't really want it to scorch or anything, so I'm going to put that in my soup after it's come to a boil. Let that boil, and soups are always better when they've been simmered for a while. So you can even get this going and then put it in a crock pot and let it simmer all day so that when you come home and your bread is ready, you've got a delicious meal ready to go. So if you like a little thicker stew, once your vegetables have gotten tender and you simmer it as long as you like to, which can be anywhere from a half an hour to 3 hours, you can thicken this delicious savory winter stew with, believe it or not, peanut butter. Peanut butter is a great thickener for stew. It's an African recipe where they use peanuts a lot as an extra nutrition staple because, as you can see, this is a vegetarian stew recipe otherwise. So the peanut butter not only acts as a thickener, but it also adds a lot of extra nutrition, and your family won't even notice it's in there. So you'll only need about 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. At our little market here in town, they sell a nice natural peanut butter. I don't know that they have organic peanut butter, but the natural peanut butter does not have any extra hydrogenated fats or sugar added to it. So that's a good choice for this recipe. So I'm going to put the 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Stir that in there. Make a delicious, thick broth. So another ingredient that I really like to use, and instead of soy sauce, is this Bragg's liquid aminos. And you can order this online or you can get it at a natural food store. It's a little bit pricier, but it has a fraction of the sodium of normal soy sauce, and it is also gluten-free. So you can use this if you're on the gluten-free diet, and it's extremely delicious. So I like to just put a little squirt of that in my stew. Gives it a nice color and makes it very tasty. So there we go. There you have it. Hearty winter vegetable stew. Now let's go ahead and check our bread. Not quite done yet. So our bread's out of the oven. Our soup has been simmering. The flavors have blended nicely. Once I take my bread out of the oven, I'm going to flip it over onto a wire rack so the bottom can cool and it will be nice and crusty. So now I'm going to invite someone from my studio audience up here for a sampling of our delicious recipes today. Would anyone like to come up and try some? Sure, come on over. So, your bread.
It's good.
Oh, so you brought your own spoon.
I have.
Bon appetit!
Thank you. All right. Oh, Joy, that's good. That's really good.
Thank you. All right, bread. This is a nice bread for soaking up the good flavors of soup because it's good and crusty on the outside and soft on the inside. So,
very good.
that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. We'll see you next time. Joey's Experimental Kitchen.